And go. This regular City Council meeting of the Oak Park City Council is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Norris, would you call the roll?
Mayor McLain?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rapp?
Here.
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 Next, approval of the agenda. We need to add two things. An item to number 7, a proclamation for Education and Sharing Day. And City Attorney has requested a closed session at the end of the meeting. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next is the consent agenda. The following routine items are presented for City Council approval without discussion as a single item. Should any member wish to discuss an item, it can be dropped from the blanket motion. Item A, regular council meeting minutes of March 5th, 2018. B, special council meeting minutes of March 5th. C, Planning Commission meeting minutes of December 11th and February 12th. D, request to advertise for bids for the 2018 Mechanics in-ground truck lift rebuild project, M685. And last, licenses, new and renewals, is submitted for March 19th, 2018. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We don't have any elected officials, so we do have special recognition and presentations. We have Rabbi Schmutkin and 2 of his students that he will introduce to receive a proclamation for Education and Sharing Day. Rabbi Schmutkin, would you come up, turn on the mic, and tell us a bit about this celebration?
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for this special tribute and honor and really sense of rededication towards what should really be any society's highest priority, which is, of course, educating a generation of kind and compassionate and young leaders. It's interesting that we find ourselves just less than 2 weeks away from the Jewish holiday of Passover, in which the Jewish people experienced their exodus from Egypt and their birth as a nation. And it's fascinating when you look at the story of the Exodus, how Moses, when he first gathers this nation of just released slaves, instead of speaking to them about an army or about a language or about a stock market, what he sits and talks to them about is about educating their children. And indeed, that's how we celebrate Passover, gathering our children together and talking to them about their history and about their destiny and about their values. In our day, a great Jewish leader who spoke about this tirelessly and passionately about keeping education on the pedestal and at the top of our national agenda was the Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory, whose date of birth is this Yud Aleph Nisan, the 11th day in the Hebrew month of Nisan, which corresponds with March 27th of this year. And the Rebbe would always speak about education and remind people, and this has never been more timely and critical than, especially in wake of some of the things that our country has been through, particularly within the realm of the educational system, of how education has to include within it not just an education of teaching a child arithmetic and social studies and science, the tools with which to live life, but teaching children about the values, the only values through which life can be lived, the morality and the ethics, which are the bedrock of any society. And it's recognition, and more so as a reminder and as a reawakening towards the importance that a society needs to put on this issue on education that ever since 1979, the President of the United States, together with the Congress, has marked the day of the Rebbe's birthday as National Education and Sharing Day, with a call to the citizens of cities, of states, and of the country as a whole to rededicate itself to putting education in the proper place of a society at the very, very top, which is, of course, the foundation of any functioning, lasting, and kind and compassionate society. And God should help that we should be successful in these efforts, all of us together, and ultimately be able to live in a country which is, of course, as we just said in the Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you very much for this tribute and for, of course, keeping this at the top of the consciousness of our people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your wonderful words, inspiring words. And we have 3 copies of this proclamation, one to hang in your school and one to hang in the library, the Rebbe's library, and there was a third one requested. And we have all 3 copies. And if you would like to come up for a photograph,
Sure.
we'd love to have you. Okay, the next special presentation is City Manager Eric Tungate is going to recognize our Employee of the Month.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, and members of our public. I have the honor and privilege of choosing Crystal McLain as our Employee of the Month. And for those of you that don't know, Crystal began working here, gosh, 3 years ago now, which doesn't seem possible, as the assistant to the city manager. And she has now been promoted to the Director of Strategic Planning and Special Projects. I should say a few things about her personally, too. She grew up in Roseville. She's the oldest of 7 children. And she tells me that she babysat a lot. It sounds like it. She's a Wayne State University grad. Go Warriors, or Tartars, however old you are. And her fiance, Derek, is here in our audience. Welcome, Derek. They do have 2 children of their own, and their dogs. They're 2 beagles. So they're fully prepared for parenthood. But Crystal, in all honesty, has done a miraculous job for us, whether it be in land use planning or budget matters or you name it, human resources. She really is one of the most versatile employees that we have, and including just this past Wednesday, really spearheading the planning and execution of the State of the City address, which I thought went off without a hitch. So, Crystal, I'm going to actually have our Assistant City Manager, Kevin Yee, say a few words too, but Crystal, wonderful job. Keep up the great work. And it's much appreciated and well-deserved.
Thank you.
It's easy for me to come up here and talk about what a great job Crystal does for us. I mean, the title, Director of Strategic Planning and Special Projects, sounds convoluted and maybe someone that is just kind of dabbles in a little bit here and there, but she is not just dabbled in every department, but she has done an incredible job on bringing the departments together under the administration and really taking the processes that each department does and putting a professional stamp on it and making it so much better. She's worked in HR, she's developed, was instrumental in developing the master plan. She works on the capital improvement budget. She has done a salary study. She works on the safety committee. She's put together the PPM book with HR. She's done a benchmarking study. There's so many things that she has done here. It's really amazing. What I always appreciate about her is she has a planning background, but yet she understands financial end of it so well that you would not think that, usually they don't mesh. Usually they use two different sides of your brain to do those things, a planning and financial. But she brings those together so well. She was instrumental in the court lawsuit and putting together all those numbers. She has done so many things here that she has been such a welcome asset to this government and this administration that I can't say enough about her.
Nice.
I wanted
So
to add
congratulations, Crystal.
Yeah,
It's well deserved.
Absolutely. And I do want to, Derek and Crystal, I do want to get a picture with myself and Kevin, if you'll join us with City Council here in just a moment. Crystal's, I think everybody knows, at some point, Crystal's going to be city administrator.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add that as much as I would love to have her stay here forever, whatever city she goes to, we'll be very lucky to have her. Very fortunate. It'll be their game. So thank you so much. And come on up and let's do our photos.
No discussion?
Unless you'd like to say a few words, that is.
Well, thank you for all the kind words from both of you. I'm incredibly honored to be recognized tonight, but everything that we do here is teamwork. So I'm very lucky to come to work every day with such incredible people, and for Eric for giving me the opportunities that I've had these last 3 years. Elsewhere, I probably wouldn't have had them, so thank you.
Nice.
I know you hear about it, right?
No, I get the budget for it. Can you jump? Sometimes. The ball's in the right way. Yeah. It's been a while. Finally,
Mayor, where do you want to be? Right over there, Crystal, let's, we can maybe take a little bit there and I'll take it. Now let's get one with just the two of you.
what would you ask somebody who's 6'5"?
You can tell how short I am.
If you want to get one with Kevin and I. It's better go up in your office.
That would be better for her
Okay.
and for us.
Okay.
That way she don't drop us off.
Oh, sorry, whoop. Oh, we need to get out of the picture. I thought they were done.
And doctor's appointments.
Special licenses and accounting reports, 11. 11A. Okay, we're on item 11A. We need a motion to approve payment of invoices submitted by Garen Lukow Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $13,122.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Next, motion for approval of payment for an invoice submitted by Howard L. Schiffman, PC, for legal services retainer for April 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2018, in the total amount of $15,000.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
C, approval for payment of an invoice submitted by Seacrest, Wardle, Lynch, Hampton, Truex, and Morley for legal services in the total amount of $624.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions?
Yeah.
Discussion? Yes?
Just, I forget which matter or which case this is for.
Right.
And maybe our city attorney or maybe Mr. Tungate remember.
More, city manager.
This one. Yeah, this, council members, this is still some of the residual from the district court litigation. Believe it or not, we have had to interact on a couple of matters since the final resolution of the case.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you very much.
Okay, any further questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes, motion carried. Item 13A, this is second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Section 124.4 of Chapter 1, General Provisions of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park. This was the one we used to advertise in the newspaper 5 days, costing almost $1,000, and we decided to go to 1 day and putting it on the city website and other matters. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next, item 13B, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Section 18282 of Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Regulations of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park. This is the one where you are required to cut your grass and weeds as often as needed.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Motion carried. C, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Sections 331 and 34 and 35 of Chapter 3, Municipal Civil Infractions of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park. This is the one about changing the penalties to civil infractions.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried. D, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Section 22505 of Chapter 22, Businesses of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park. If you recall, it's to make these things civil infractions.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Motion carried. E, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Section 7122A of Chapter 71, Telecommunications Services of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park, dealing with telecommunications problems being a civil infraction.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes. Motion carried. F, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend sections 14.1, 14.4, and 14.29 of Chapter 14, Animals of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park. If you recall, it's the one where we're switching animal cruelty back to a misdemeanor.
So moved?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Motion carried. G, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Section 7882 of Chapter 78 Trees of the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Park, making these tree issues a civil infraction.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Motion carried. H is one we will discuss at greater length. It is a first reading of an ordinance to amend Article 2, Definitions, Article 6, RM1 and RM2, Multifamily Residential District, Article 17, General Provisions, Appendix A, Zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan. I'll take a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss it.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. City Manager Tungate, would you, we have City
Yeah.
Manager Tungate.
Director Maroney, take it away.
Good evening. In front of you are a few ordinance changes that will help us meet the final requirements for being a redevelopment-ready certified community. They deal with promoting green infrastructure in new developments, and we've met with our engineering department to make sure that it would meet our standards. So we have a few items in here that will help to promote that in new developments. Adding a non-traditional housing option. We needed to add one more type of non-traditional housing, and stacked flats is something we would have approved of already in our multifamily districts, but we didn't specifically call it out, so all we've really done there is add it into an allowed use in our multifamily districts. And then the third item is coming together with some building design guidelines. One of those items includes bike parking standards for any new development, as well as design guidelines for the buildings that would be in our mixed-use districts.
So alternate form of irrigation, normally we ask them to dig some kind of like trench for the water that runs off during a storm. And this is going to allow them to instead maybe put a planting that would absorb that water.
So there's many different ways that you can retain stormwater. Some of it's underground storm detention. Some is a rain garden, I think is what you're trying to refer to in your description. So it would allow that as a use that we would use those calculations of what it would take from the stormwater and what they'd additionally need to retain.
So are there other than rain garden options?
One of the easiest requirements was for us to also allow for native species of landscaping to be used in the landscape designs, and then that helps promote that you would not need to sprinkle native plants. Typically, those are ones that will grow without being sprinkled.
So to
you
save
on
water.
Mhm.
Right. And automatic irrigation systems would be turned off during water emergencies or when it's raining a lot, or?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Councilmember Rich.
Yeah, I have just a couple questions. I note that the cover sheet talks about RM1 districts and RM2, which I assume are multifamily residential districts and not the general residential district, like, for example, where, you know, the five folks up here in council live, correct?
That is correct.
But then when I turn over to the third page, where it says green infrastructure, section 1716. Section A says general provisions. In all zoning districts, the following minimum standards apply. Is that correct? Is this going to apply to all zoning districts?
No, these are just the zoning districts in our commercial and industrial areas.
But am I missing?
And I'm sorry, our RM1 and RM2, because those are considered commercial developments.
We're required right after.
So it doesn't apply to your traditional residential.
All right, I understand. It starts at the beginning, screening and landscaping in all zoning districts where required shall
Correct.
adhere to the following minimum standards. But it does, I'm just saying it's ambiguous. I would prefer if it would say, under general provisions, in RM1 and RM2. That's just,
Well,
gets rid of any ambiguity.
It's clear when you go through the entire ordinance in each zoning district, but since we've only pulled out specific sections of those, it's not as clear as you're seeing it here. But
So section
as Councilmember
1700.
Weiss pointed out, as required in the district. So it is more specific once you dig deeper.
So the section that starts green infrastructure is part of the section of the zoning law that only applies to the RM1 and RM2s?
No, the green infrastructure can apply to several different districts. So it can apply to RM1, RM2, PUD, LI, B1, B2, PCD.
What about R1?
No.
Okay, does it say specifically?
So in your R1 district, it would not be a requirement, but in all these other districts I mentioned, it is a requirement. So like I said, it's not very clear because you're not looking at the entire ordinance book.
I think what he's saying is he would prefer if it read screening and landscaping in all industrial and what other districts that this applied to. You know what you're saying?
Well, I guess the question is, what is section 1700 to 1715? What are those saying? Are those making it clear that it does not apply to
Yes.
R1?
Yes.
All right.
City Manager Tungate has something to
Let me
say.
offer a recommendation. Would it be appropriate, Madam City Attorney, to maybe put in parentheses the one district where it doesn't apply, which would be the R1 district, correct? Or is it the R2 as well?
I'll defer to our attorney. It would be different than what we've done in any other district.
And I would need to look at the full ordinance section to say whether adding that parenthetical would be appropriate to address the concern that Councilmember Rich is speaking of.
So could you do that maybe before the second reading?
We can take a look at that and see if that's appropriate.
Okay.
And, I mean, if it's clear from the sections that are right before it, maybe that's what we need to see, okay?
And that may be that if we just bring you the additional sections, that
Yeah.
may satisfy your question. If we can have that for the second reading.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Any further questions? Yes, Councilmember.
So under the current ordinance, these provisions are not allowed. Is that correct? Like if you were doing a new development and you wanted to use a rain garden as a water retention unit, you couldn't do that. You would have to have.
So we would have allowed it. We didn't
Okay.
deter it. But this specifically calls it out to encourage more development to consider that as an option.
Got it.
We good? Any further questions? Are we ready to vote? Yes. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Abstain.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure. Anything? Yes? Sorry? Stated reason?
Because it's not complete to me. I need to see the rest of the
Got
state
it.
ordinance.
Okay,
So that's a no.
You can count it as a no.
Okay.
Okay.
It's still passed for today.
right. Motion carried? All right. City Attorney Ebony Duff has some information about the Michigan Supreme Court order regarding Harmony Montessori versus the City of Oak Park that has been going on for many a moon.
Probably a decade, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, City Council. I am pleased to present the agenda item under 14A, which is an order issued by the Michigan Supreme Court March 9, 2018. This order brings finality to our ongoing Harmony Montessori tax appeal litigation. Just a brief bit of history. As far as when our firm began back in 2012, the city had already successfully defended a tax appeal at the Michigan Tax Tribunal level. The Harmony Montessori filed an appeal with the Court of Appeals. Unfortunately, the Court of Appeals found two specific questions of fact, sent the case back down to the Michigan Tax Tribunal for a full trial. That was actually the first trial our firm took on for the city. We succeeded at the Court of Appeals level October 13, 2016, received a favorable judgment. The petitioner, Harmony Montessori, then filed an application for leave to the Michigan Supreme Court. There was about a year of briefing on the case. Oral arguments were finally heard on January 11 of this year, 2018, and what you have is the final order of the court. And essentially, the court held that the petitioner, Harmony Montessori, did not meet their burden. There was some very specific law and language that the court was asking them to brief. The court found that they did not brief that issue, or the arguments presented weren't sufficient for them to be entitled to a tax exemption, and therefore the court upheld the City of Oak Park's request that this property should remain on the tax rolls as a tax-assessed property. And just essentially the underlying argument from the school was that they are a school providing public education, so they should be entitled to a tax exemption. And there's historic case law in the state of Michigan that essentially indicates that in order to be eligible for a tax exemption, the schools have to meet certain criteria, and one of those is to provide a free or public education. And Harmony Montessori charges tuition. It is a private school. It did not fit the definition as indicated by the Michigan case law, and the Supreme Court upheld the Court of Appeals ruling. So from this point forward, you will not receive any more reports or billings on the Harmony Montessori case. I am pleased to report that it's officially closed.
Great job.
Whoa. We'll miss them. Have they been paying taxes all these
They
years?
have. As a requirement of the ongoing appeal, the taxes have to be paid. They have, and there will be no refunds
So
due.
they were put in escrow? Yeah.
That's correct.
How much do we get now? How much has been in escrow?
I don't know the amount offhand. I apologize. I'll get that information to you. But whatever they paid, they will continue to pay going forward.
City man, thank you. That was monumental. City Manager Eric Tungate has a recap of the State of the City address.
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. Before I get to that, I did want to note that you saw him standing at the podium a moment ago, but our new Deputy Director of Technical and Planning Services, Dan Fairless, he didn't speak, but I wanted to just make sure that you knew he was here in Robert Barrett's stead. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're very fortunate to have him.
Robert,
Welcome.
He, vacation, I believe,
oh,
correct?
okay,
Vacation.
okay.
Or you say staycation. Knowing Rob. I did want to provide a very brief update on the state of the city. I thought it was a wonderful event. Again, thanks to Denise DeSantis, Crystal McLain, Kim Maroney, Benny White, Madam Mayor, members of City Council, public safety, all of our staff who had a role in planning and executing such a wonderful event. I thought the city showed very well. I think we have a few slides we want to roll out.
Oh. Future resident.
She knows she's cute. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks again, everybody, and look forward to another great State of the City address next year. Thank you very much. That completes the City Manager report for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, City Manager Tungate. We are called to the audience. Anyone can give their name and address and speak for 3 minutes? No? No? Okay. We will do call to the council. Mayor Pro Tem,
Good evening, everybody.
Councilmember Burns.
Just very quickly, just wanted to share some information with you. The Planning Commission approved 2 new sites at our March 12th meeting. The first was for a new development on 11 Mile, 1 block east of Greenfield Road. that will construct 2 new buildings totaling 18,600 square feet. The units will be marketed as incubator space that will house entrepreneurs into flexible space offering. This project will fill a niche to assist growing businesses who have outgrown their home facilities but not quite ready for a building of their own yet. The second project that was approved was for Citizens Bank that will be located in the Oak Park Shopping Center. They will construct a standalone ATM, and the bank will have a physical location and will construct a drive-up ATM on the site as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Weiss.
I just had a couple quick announcements. First, I want to say that congratulations again to Crystal, well-deserved award today. And thank you everyone who worked really hard on the State of the City. I will say that I did notice that public safety had to stand for a really long time. So maybe next year we can get them chairs. And just a quick announcement, the library is hosting a crime scene, in partnership with public safety, a crime scene investigation night on Wednesday, March 21st, from 6:30 to 7:15. And this is part of the Reading Collective, which is a group of libraries are working together to have several different events around the book My Friend Dahmer, which is a graphic novel about going to school with Jeffrey Dahmer and being friends with him. And it sounds kind of frightening, but it's actually a really good book. It's a graphic novel, so you can read it in about 30 minutes if you want to participate in any of those discussions. But as part of that, there's going to be a CSI investigation hosted by Public Safety at the library on Wednesday. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Councilmember Rich.
Thank you for coming. Have a great night.
We need a motion pursuant to Section 8 of the Open Meetings Act to convene into closed session to discuss collective bargaining agreement negotiations and other matters.
So moved.
Support?
Been supported. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yep.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried. We will come back here just to okay the minutes of the closed meeting. There won't be a vote, so don't feel you have to stay. You won't miss anything. Thank you. We will convene to closed session.
Have a good night, man.
You too.
Oops, one more? No, we've got 3. Motion to approve the minutes of the closed meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Nay.
Minutes are accepted. This meeting is over. Thank you.